Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for being gracious and patient with me for having to reschedule. I thought I was just going to push it out a couple of days last week and do this live on Thursday, but that is obviously not what ended up happening. Um, I wasn't feeling well coming back from travel, and I had kids that weren't feeling good and were home, and I just decided I was just going to push it out till Tuesday. So now we will do these calls every other week from this Tuesday. So it kind of shifted our remaining weeks, but we're just gonna we're gonna go with it. So this week we're gonna kind of dive into a different topic. So we've talked about a lot of physical topics this point. We've talked about our diet, we've talked about sleep, we've talked about movement. This week we are going to talk about our minds, and our minds play such a critical role in our health. So it's not just what you eat. It's not just how you sleep or how you move. It's what you think. What we think creates our feelings. Our feelings drive our actions, and your actions create the results in your life. So the training that I have calls this the creation cycle, and it's because we are creating our results. So most of us react to life on an autopilot, right? Like we believe circumstances are causing our feelings. I'm overwhelmed because life is too much. I'm overwhelmed because I have too much to do today. Or this person said something and that made me upset. Or sometimes it's something bigger, like I found out I have a diagnosis. That's why I'm depressed. My husband lost his job and that's why I'm panicking, but really it's our thoughts about our life that are creating those feelings of fear, those feelings of anxiety. So we often don't choose our thoughts. We do choose our thoughts, but we feel like we don't choose them. They're kind of like on autopilot, right? We think the thoughts that we heard people speaking as we were growing up, and or we hear the thoughts on social media or from our friends or from wherever. We just hear the thoughts of other people and we kind of inherit them, and then we rehearse them, and then they kind of run unchecked in our mind. But we need to make the practice of stopping those thoughts and actually choosing what to think. And I know sometimes this can feel like it's not possible, but I promise you that it can. And for my Bible believing sisters out there, you know what I'm talking about. The Bible tells us to take our thoughts captive and make them obedient to Christ. Or the Romans, oh gosh, now it's escaping me. Romans 12:2. Um, Look it up. It's escaping me. It's Romans 12:2. Anyway, talking about how our thoughts and taking our thoughts captive, and really that if we can control our thoughts. The Bible wouldn't tell us to control our thoughts if that was not something we could do. So I always try to put that as the backdrop for my sisters in Christ. So originally, this started with a life coach, Brooke Castillo, and she had this model that was CTFAR, circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result. So you have a circumstance in your life, and this is a neutral fact. So circumstance in your life is I have 3 loads of laundry to do. My thought about that might be, oh, I'll never catch up. Like I'm too far behind. I'm just not like laundry is just always this problem for me. I never catch up. And what kind of feeling does that thought create in you? That kind of creates like this defeat or this like overwhelm. Like, oh, if I'm never going to catch up, like, or even like, I mean, hopeless is kind of a strong way to put it, but if I'm never going to catch up, like, why am I even going to try? Almost like, yeah, defeat, right? So, and then the action, the response to that feeling might be to procrastinate. It might be to not do the laundry, or it might make me irritable. And maybe I snap at my kids or get cranky with my husband. Result, I prove my thought true. I don't catch up. Instead of catching up, procrastinating and pushing it off and being crabby at my family, but I'm not doing laundry and I'm proving that my thought true. My thought is I'll never catch up. So what if I flip it though? So the circumstance is the fact, right? The fact is I have 3 loads of laundry to do. And sometimes this can get a little cloudy. Like we think the fact might be that I have too much to do. That's a thought. That's not the fact. The fact is the thing that can be proven in a court of law. Not that we're going to go to court over this, but you get what I'm saying. Like saying I have too much to do cannot be proven in a court of law. Saying I have 3 loads of laundry to do, I can see the 3 loads of laundry sitting there. That is a fact. But what do I want to think about that? So instead of saying, I'm never going to catch up, I could change that thought to one thing at a time is enough. Like, okay, instead of saying, "Oh, I have 3 loads of laundry, I'll never catch up," change that to, I have 3 loads of laundry. Like, okay, that feels like a lot, but if I just do one load of laundry, if I just do one thing at a time, that makes me feel more calm. My action is I take that load of laundry and I throw it in, and my result is progress. So my result is instead of just staying in that loop of overwhelm where I have too much to do and I'm never going to get it done, I'm making progress. So those thoughts are actually at the root of what you're experiencing in life, often what we're experiencing day in and day out. And you can choose new thoughts, but you have to be willing to capture those thoughts. So one of the ways that we do that, the primary way that I recommend doing that is by journaling. And we do it with a thought download. So a thought download is just taking what's in your brain and dumping it out onto a piece of paper. Um, it has to be written out, though. You need to actually take it and write it out on that piece of paper. So take 5 minutes, write out everything on your mind, and then pick one of the thoughts in there that feels kind of heavy or kind of sticky. So if it's that you're feeling overwhelmed or that you're feeling defeated, like, or that you are like, this is just so hard, I'm never going to get it all done, like find the thought that, or maybe if it's a health thought, like a lot of my clients, their thought is, I'm never going to lose this weight, I'm just never going to lose this weight. So go back and ask yourself, like, what's the circumstance, right? So about that sticky, heavy thought. What is the circumstance? Now, remember, this is not an opinion. This is the fact that can be proven in the court of law. And for the weight loss situation, it might be I weigh X, right? Like fill in the blank, how much you weigh. It's not that you are never going to lose weight. That's the thought. The fact is the number on the scale. The thought is, I'm never going to lose weight. How does that make you feel? I mean, it can make, again, it can make some people feel defeated or hopeless or just resigned to like, this is just what it is. And what do I do when I feel that way? So when I feel hopeless or when I feel like I'm never going to lose weight anyway, what do? Maybe I go for the cookies. Maybe I go for the ice cream. Maybe I say, forget it. I don't care. I'm not going to plan my meals. We're just going to go out for dinner tonight. And what result does that create? It creates that perpetual, I'm not going to lose the weight. So again, that's just an example. You can take this and you can fill in the blank with anything. Like we have a never-ending pile of dishes, or my this whole kids always fighting. I remember the first time I went through this with my coach. The first time I went through a creation cycle with my coach, it was about my boys arguing over waffles. They were arguing over waffles. They were putting their little Vans gluten-free waffles in the toaster. So we have a 4-slot toaster, and it was Maddox and Gabe. This is when they were much, much younger, and they were arguing over whose waffles were going to go into what slot. Like, keep in mind, all 4 waffles, like each of them had 2 waffles. They were the exact same waffles. In the toaster slots, they're exactly the same. Like, they're just, and I just remember thinking, this is insane. And my thought was, why can't they get along? Which is actually a question more than a thought. So then it's always answer your own question in your thought. It's like, why can't they get along? Oh, because they are just rotten. So the circumstances, my boys are arguing about waffles. My thought was, they are rotten. That made me feel irritated and annoyed. And guess what action I took? I yelled at my kids and I snapped at them and I was like, why do you have to always, why are you arguing about waffles? And my result was, it was just this perpetual, like, low mood, irritated. They may have stopped arguing about the waffles, but there wasn't a solution, right? It was, they were still irritated. They were still bickering. That was just the way that it was. And that was the first time I got coached on this whole thought feeling circumstance. So, and then the result that it created, it just did not create the result that I wanted. I want my boys to get along, but me snapping at them and freaking out about waffles does not make my boys get along. So then you can take and try a new thought that feels believable and supportive. So if we go back to the weight loss scenario, it's number on scale is the circumstance, right? And my original thought was never going to lose weight. I'm just never going to lose this weight. I can change that thought to something that feels believable and supportive. So here's the thing, it's important that we believe the thought. So if I go from the thought of, I'm never going to lose weight to, oh, this isn't going to be a problem. I'm just going to lose this weight and it won't be a problem. If I don't believe that, it's not going to work. Maybe I have to go from, I'm never going to lose weight. And maybe I have to say, I'm working on believing that I can lose weight. Maybe that's as close as I can get. Or maybe as close as I can get is, um, I know what to do to lose weight. I just need to maybe work, like focus on that a little harder. Just coming up with a different thought, or I can do hard things with grace, right? Like we can come up with these thoughts or the whole progress, not perfection, right? I just need to make progress. It doesn't need to be perfect. I need to make progress. So there's different thoughts we can think. And then going back through and what does that thought make you feel? And what does that feeling, what actions you take from that feeling? And then what is the result from that action? This is where deep change can begin. You can become the mom, the woman, the human who you want to be by changing your thoughts. And this is more about empowerment. This is not pressury, and this takes practice, right? This is not just going to come to you overnight. It's not just going to be this instant um, where you get it's not easy at first. Your brain is going to have a lot of resistance around this. It's not going to want to do this thing. It's going to say, this is weird or this doesn't work, but just try it, right? So your action step for this week is going to be to do one creation cycle. I have a PDF worksheet that I'm going to drop in, and actually, maybe what I'll do, I have a few minutes still, so I'm going to share this. So I'm going to share on my screen what it looks like. But your action step is to do one thought download this week and to walk it through a creation cycle. And then, if you're willing, share it in the Facebook group. So I'm going to pull up the creation cycle. I'm going to pull up two different versions of it, and I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay, so on the screen, we can see this creation cycle. You are what you repeatedly do. Excellent then is an act, not an act, but a habit. So that's just your little thought. So we think, we speak, we feel, we act. Think, speak, feel, act. Then habits create results. So this is sort of a more down the line version of it. But just to start with the basics, this is the basic worksheet. So you should be able to see a black and white worksheet now. Use this worksheet to explore your thoughts on creating your current experience based on the creation cycle model inspired by Brooke Castillo. So a thought download, you're going to need more lines than this. So get a piece of paper, like a notebook. Take 5 minutes to write freely about what's on your mind and just let your thoughts flow. Do not judge yourself and don't edit. We're just going to let our thoughts flow and we're not going to judge or edit. And then you're going to pick one thought to explore. So that's where you're going to write here. Pick your one thought to examine. Sometimes these thoughts can be really painful. So if it's a particularly painful thought, that might be a good one to start with. And then we're going to pick what is the neutral fact or situation? Like what is provable in a court of law? What is the thing there that can be proven? And then your thought, this should be down on this next page, but what is your interpretation or belief about this fact? How does that make you feel? What do or do you not do? So you might be, your action could be action or inaction. So, for the weight loss example, the action could be when I think I'll never lose weight, the action can be that I go eat pizza, or it can be that I don't do my menu planning, or I don't go for my walk, or I don't do my workout, or go to bed on time, or any of those things, right? And then what result does this action or inaction create? And then you can choose your new thought. So you can, I will share this PDF with you and I'll share it underneath this video. Stop sharing my screen. And then you can print it out or you can just, follow the guideline and do it in your notebook. And if you're so willing to take a picture of it and share it, we could talk through it, right? We could chat through it in the Facebook group. Or it could just be a way, if you need help with it, like if you like, this is my thought and like, here's my circumstance, but I'm kind of stuck on the action I take. We can coach through that in the group. And it does feel sometimes a little exposing. So, make sure that you pick something that you're willing to have in the group. We have 99 people in the group, so potentially 99 eyes could be on it, but don't let that So maybe don't make it something private, but I would love for you to take this and do something that, something, and it could be about laundry, it could be about weight loss, it could be about um, something that is maybe not super private, and then post it in the group and we can talk through it. If you have any questions, just make sure and tag me and we will talk through all of that. So again, that is your action step for the week. Well, actually for the next 2 weeks, if you can do one this week, one next week, I find it helpful to do one every day. I obviously get out of practice with that, but then when I get back into practice with it, it works out really well. So again, we're like, it's just this cycle, right? So our thought, as we have this circumstance, and we have a thought about it, and that thought creates our feeling, and our feeling causes us to take action or inaction, and that creates our result. And it's kind of a loop. So anyway, I will be posting in the group over the next 2 weeks. Things for you to kind of like interact with and maybe share your different experiences on this. And then we will be live again 2 weeks from today. So again, the schedule changed. It won't be next Tuesday. It'll be 2 weeks from today. And we'll just finish out this series every other Tuesday from today. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the Facebook group.